Part two of that foot series here with DJ. He was very demanding of this topic, to say the least.
A little bit of subtle rotation.
Push his knee forward, basically lengthening all that tissue, move all those joints, move all those bones.
Keeping intimate contact with my toe and my heel at the exact same time.
Kind of challenging positioning of his ankles. It's a simple layer that you can introduce with any unilateral movement. We were kind of brainstorming. He was like, Vernon, we got to talk about the feet.
You got to, man. Like, I neglected it my entire life. I catch you in my mid-30s and, forced to adopt it. And from the first session I did it, I was like, I don't really know if that's for me. By second session, I'm like, that wasn't that bad. By third and fourth session, it's like, I can't believe I haven't been doing this. Yeah. Okay, fine. Let's do it.
So we're going to jump right in about restoring range of motion, and then we're going to give you some concepts for strengthening that area as well. We're going to start out right with a tennis ball. DJ's going to take this tennis ball, put it right in the middle of his foot. I like to do this from a sitting standpoint. I think sometimes when you're standing, you put too much weight, and I don't think you can kind of feather that foot. Where when you're sitting, you can kind of gauge how much pressure you're trying to put into the ball.
Exactly. And this is a really good place to start from, just with the tennis ball. I know guys try to jump straight into lacrosse balls. I think I did that at one point, and it might be too much. It's kind of the same principle as foam rolling on like a piece of PVC pipe. If you've ever tried that, it's miserable. You get with a little bit of foam, now you can gradually ease into it. Same kind of concept here. So I drop that thing right in the middle of my foot. I'll kind of lean my weight on it, and I'll just feel what's kind of going on, and I'll start getting a little bit of subtle rotation, nothing too crazy. I'll start to roll it down to my heel, and then I'll start to drag it back right to the ball of my foot and just kind of see what's really kind of sticking, if there's any spots, and then I'll start to roll it to the outside edge. And the same thing. I'm just looking for any hot spots, any spots that are super tight. I'll go to the outside edge and just start being playful with it.
Two key things DJ said here. For one, look at the intent he's doing. This ball is very slow. I can't tell you how many times I see people roll the bottom of their and they're doing that. They're trying to start a fire. Don't try to start a fire. Nice and smooth. It's almost like you're trying to accept this ball into your foot. And then two, the implement that we choose. Your body, there's pain and performance. It's a one-lane road. So if you're going with a very wooden dowel ball, or like DJ said, a PVC pipe, and you're wincing the whole time, you're probably not relaxing into that. And something like this, we're trying to relax into that, kind of touch hot spots like DJ said, restoring that range of motion, that bottom of the foot, maybe even just accepting something different. When's the last time you had something pinpoint into the bottom of your foot? Unless you've gotten a massage, probably never, because you're not pushing into the bottom of your foot or whatnot. And if you've asked your spouse for a foot rub, it's probably last 2 seconds, and then that attention's done with that.
Yeah, okay.
But the tennis ball is a great place to start. But I love what DJ said, that all those trampolines at the bottom of the foot. He's on the outside edge, on that ridge of the foot. He's on the inside edge of that foot, the bridge of the foot, really working all of those points, going all the way up to the metatarsals, the first metatarsal, and then working down, just kind of pressing in, moving, wiggling. All of those things I think have a lot of value. Now taking that same tennis ball, we gotta have a wedge point right here so we can push up against it. And DJ's just gonna put the ball underneath his toes. I'm gonna try to keep the heads of those metatarsals down on the ground, so that that padding of his foot right there, keeping that down on the ground, almost letting that ball, that feedback of that ball kind of push up against you. Yep. And he's just kind of ease in, drive his toes down, push his knee forward, basically lengthening all that tissue underneath the bottom of the foot, pushing his toes down. But then the key thing here is, after he's holding that isometric for a couple seconds, maybe 5-ish, he's going to allow his feet to go up. So the tennis ball, that feedback is pushing up against his toes. And then he's going to try to jam the heads of his metatarsals down into the ground, almost wedging them in there, while driving his knee forward, kind of letting that ball take him up, feel that stretch underneath the bottom of your foot.
That's what's nice about having tennis balls. As you apply the pressure, as you start to release that feathered approach, it really starts to give you that stretch in the toes. Be mindful not letting the heel come up, still trying to drive that down, and I'm trying to get forward pressure on those metatarsals inside of this ball so it's not going to move. And then I think that big toe down, it really forced me to isolate it. Trying to drive my toe down, you can see it crush the tennis ball. Now it's a feathered approach, back up. Drive it back in, down, hold it, hold it, hold it. If I need to lean in my weight just a little bit more with that knee, I can. Mm-hmm. Slowly feather it up, feel the stretch, redirect back into it. It's a really good drill for being able to separate the toes, how they form and function independently, and now really that big toe down. We cue that so much here, and it's been so beneficial for me. It's a really good way to isolate and really build that connection with the big toe itself.
We don't want to be just big toe driven, so all you can tell DJ will kind of roll off, maybe try to get into that second, third toe a little bit, and just kind of challenge all those toes, still trying to keep the heads of those metatarsals down on the ground as much as we can, just letting the toes extend up off the ground with that tennis ball. Pushing the knee forward, like DJ said, maintaining your arch, keeping your heel on the ground. Just because you push your knee forward, that doesn't mean more is better. If the heel's coming up, where are we getting this range of motion from? Pushing that knee down or knee forward, keeping that heel down, maintaining that arch as you push into the tennis ball, and then let that feedback of the tennis ball take you back up. Feel that stretch underneath the bottom of your foot. This next one, no screenshots on my damn feet as we're doing this.
OnlyFans.
But basically, I just want you to take your fingers, put them between your toes, and from here, you're just going to kind of work around. So DJ just did that movement with the tennis ball. So just kind of prying those toes apart, moving them. After I've done this, about maybe 10, 12, 15 circles of my toes, when I walk around, I'll feel that flex in my toes, feeling able to bounce across the floor a little bit better. But just wedging your fingers in there might be pretty uncomfortable, especially if you're used to wearing a shoe that's kind of closing things up. But just kind of working that range of motion, feeling lots of crackles, lots of pops, and just kind of trying to break up that tissue, treat that foot like a foot, move all those joints, move all those bones around, and just trying to play around with that range of motion.
It's like 90% of the population, they're always popping their fingers and making some sort of adjustment with their hands. Somebody sent me a meme the other day, and it's like how dudes take a shower, and it was 100% head all the way down. It gets below the knee, and it's a void, nothing. I don't even wash my feet. I don't even touch them. Like, when's the last time you did some self manipulation on your own feet? Never, right? Like, people just don't do it. They just neglect them, and it's got a lot of weight support in it, man.
Yep.
I mean, just enough to be able to break them up just a little bit, man. Like, just some subtle little pops.
That's a great example, because I do that all day.
Yeah.
Just breaking up, like moving my fingers, even like just stretching them around, but doing that with your toes, same example.
I mean, I have a little morning routine for like getting my ankles in. I pop down and drop in a squat, kind of just roll them around. But I never do anything for the toes, really. Like, unless we incorporate it here, I mean, I find myself neglecting them too. It's like, for people with issues, like, would I take you 12 seconds?
Yep.
Like, just enough, man. Just sit on the edge of your bed in the morning before you brush your teeth. Just get everything motion is lotion, man.
Yep.
Get it in. Yeah, it doesn't take a whole lot, but the benefit, you just can't ignore it once you do it a couple times.
Absolutely.
Right.
Now let's go up to our feet.
All right, guys, back at it. I'm going to show you guys a rope walk. This is the very first install Vernon ever gave me about foot and ankle health, and I was not a believer until I did it the first couple times. Pretty simple. I actually think we had a bigger diameter rope. I think it was actually a bigger of a fast rope.
A little thicker.
Really just trying to get it dead in the center of my arch, kind of play around, feel the tension, feel where it is, and we're just going to walk laterally. Just applying that pressure. If I stop, if I feel a little spot, I can make a subtle little tweak. Maybe that's a 1/4 inch forward, a 1/4 inch back. Be playful with it. And slowly but surely, nice and easy, walking laterally. We'll do the exact same thing on the way back. Again, if you feel one of those hot spots, I might change it up just a little bit. Maybe I'll roll it out, I'll dig into it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to keep steady motion. This is just for me. You know, not one size fits all. Not every foot's the exact same. That hot spot might be for me. Vernon doesn't have anything like that.
Just applying pressure and then accepting it back up, like DJ said. Find a spot, find a hot spot, find a different spot. If you find a tension point, dig in it, wedge yourself in a little bit, move around, just kind of exploring those feet. These sideways walks are great, but then I've seen you do them diagonal.
Do it on diagonal. If I'm trying to walk it, depending on how thick the diameter rope is, for this one it's really, really nice, but I'm trying to focus on keeping intimate contact with my toe and my heel at the exact same time, trying to force that arch. But what's cool about this is if I stop and I give myself a little bit of time, all my weight is essentially on this foot and I'm really driving in the pressure. I can feel it come off nice and easy. Same thing, I got to readjust, contact with my heel on the ground and that toe, accepting all the weight. I'll lean a little bit of it on this piece of PVC, control my balance. Same thing again, just kind of milking it exactly where it needs to be. Slow and in control. Doesn't have to be fast, it's not supposed to be. We can run across this thing, but it kind of defeats the purpose.
All of those were built around restoring range of motion, challenging things, plying that foot apart. Now we will actually want to strengthen that tissue. We're going to start with the elastic components. DJ's just going to do a pogo here. So as both feet are just bouncing at one time, and all we're doing is kind of working on that elasticity of that foot. So we're trying to, if I'm going to cue him, I'm going to say, hey, I don't want your heel to touch the ground. I want you to kind of stay on the balls of your feet. You look at him, he's starting to get a little creative now, challenging positions of his toes. He can kind of work side to side, kind of challenging positioning of his ankles, just bouncing around. We want our feet to be elastic. When it comes to the tactical population, especially as we get older outside of the tactical population, we want to continue to bounce around and introduce these plyometric natures. Just bouncing around, staying athletic. Honestly, I feel great after I kind of bounce around a little bit. It just feels good. It almost helps feel like blood pulls away from your body, gravity pulls it away or pushes it away. So it's almost like bouncing around. It almost like I feel like an energy. Like even if I'm warming up, just kind of like it's like there's a reason the boxers do it.
Yeah.
Staying light on your feet, staying athletic.
Yep. I mean, and then start rapid change of direction. Like you land on something, I've immediately got to change. If I build that connection to the ground,
Yeah.
I know exactly how fast I can go. And you'd be surprised how many people just can't do this.
Yep.
Just like monkey bars, they start doing. They're completely flat-footed. You just see them. It's like I can't get off the ground.
Yep.
You watch like a 55-year-old try to do a box jump. Like, they can't do it anymore. Get the heels off the ground. Get the heels off the ground. Just be light, be playful. But yeah, just get the blood circulating. Just like you're jumping a rope.
No different than we talk about the hips and the shoulders, about restoring range of motion. We always want to follow them up with something that's functional, something building strength, power. So with the feet, we spent all that time working the foot, building up that durability of the foot, opening ranges of motion. Now we want to imprint that with something like these pogos and the strength aspect, which we're going to do next. But this is something we want to follow that up with. We want to, after we've opened up a range of motion, now let's insert some sort of strength, some sort of coordinated movement.
Actually, doing these, we'll be doing a heavy leg day.
Yeah.
In between sets, like now I'm just going to shake it out, get the blood flowing, get connection back to the ground. Yeah, I mean, heels up, just bouncing around like, man, I don't want to lift up this heavy ass weight. Got to do it anyway.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Yep.
Bounce around, get the blood.
So if you follow our programming, you've definitely seen this setup before. Just strengthening that foot by floating that heel. This is a simple layer that you can introduce with any unilateral movement. We'll do this with reverse lunges. We'll do this with isometric holds for our ankles, for our hips. But this is just a simple way to add in strengthening that foot. So DJ has the balls of his feet up on the plate. He's trying to keep his heel right around where that position's at, if not higher. And then he's just going to lift off. What are you feeling when you're holding this position?
I can feel my calf engage. I can feel like the little micro muscles and tendons, my ankle trying to search for stability. And the higher I bring that heel up, the more I feel it.
Yeah.
And now I'm just trying to balance this thing. If I keep this quad engaged, this glute engaged, it'll really kind of balance me out here a little bit. But yeah, I'm really just trying to keep focus on the calf, focus on the foot, keeping that big toe down, but just the entire foot. If I start to rock over to one side, I'll kind of just accept it,
Yep.
feather it over, just try to find my balance point. Sometimes it really helps if I just stare in one central location. I don't stare at my knee, and I just let the thing do whatever it wants to do. As long as I'm in control, then it's fine. If I'm trying to make it harder than it is, I'll lean my sternum over my knee just a little bit, a little more weight into it, and now I just try to keep the exact same position.
Yeah.
Use my arms for a little bit of balance, but I'm really trying to isolate that foot, that ankle, that calf. Everything working in unison, providing the stability and the connection.
Rest for a second. So that's an isometric that we would use to not only focus on the ankle like DJ said, but also hip mobility, holding that isometric. But we can also do this with just a split squat going up and down. Yep. So if you're already doing split squats, you're just adding in that floated heel component. Yep. Balls of feet supported, and just go up and down. Yep. If you're already doing this movement, this is a simple layer that you can throw in your programming. Doesn't have to be all the time, but especially if you're doing this movement at the tail end of your workout, just to give you some added focus and stress on that foot. Now that's 7 steps for restoring range of motion, exploring tension, and strengthening that foot.
All these steps have been hugely beneficial in my life and all my teammates' lives. Got a bunch more stuff coming on GPS Performance Program. Check it out, free 7-day trial. Get your feet moving healthy, man.